Good afternoon. My name is Connie Sublett, and I work here at CVCC in the Human Resource Office. And today we're going to be going over some interviewing skills. First of all, what we're going to do is a little bit of a role play, so that as we're going through this role play, I want you to pick out and designate things that this person may be doing incorrectly all the way through, and then we'll go over them after we have finished that. This is Linda Adams, and most of you already know her, I'm sure, since she's the student activities coordinator right now. So but she's going to help me out. So, we are going to get started. Well, goodness, I see that our next candidate is late. I wonder where she happens to be. Goodness. I know one thing. That doesn't move, Joan. Come on, where she could be. Hi. Are you Miss Sublett?
Yes.
Oh, come on in.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Oh, nice to meet you as well.
Goodness.
Would you have a seat here for me?
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay. Miss Sublett, you're here to interview for our division chair admin, and just wanted to just give you a few little questions if you don't mind. All right. Tell me a little something about yourself.
What you want to know?
Well, what made you apply for a job at our college?
Well, I have 5 children, and I've got to put food on the table and put clothes on the back, so I need a job.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of imperative.
Okay. All right, and I noticed here that in your application and that you had left your last job. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I was working real hard, but see, with my 5 kids, some days I just can't make it to work. I have to stay at home and take care of them. And they called me into the office and was fussing because I had to miss. But what do you do when you have 5 kids? You got to take care of them. You can't just leave them home sick. And they weren't real happy with everything I was doing, so they kind of let me go.
All right, well, that's interesting. Well, just tell me a little bit about your education. You know, that we do have certain criteria here, so just tell me a little bit about your education.
I went to Stanton River High School, and I attended that community college, you know, that one there in Lynchburg somewhere. I don't remember exactly the name of it, but I attended that college for a couple of years. I didn't ever get my degree, but I was working real hard. But when 5 kids came along, that kind of slowed you down.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
well,
excuse me.
Yeah.
Hello? Yes, honey, I know. I will stop on my way home. Yes. Yes, I'm in the middle of an interview. Yes. Well, thank you. All right, love you too. Bye. I'm so sorry.
Must have been one of those 5 kids.
No, actually, it was the husband of the 5 kids. Whew.
I gotcha. Okay, tell me a little bit more about your working experience outside of the one you were just talking about.
Well, I can type real fast. Probably
Excuse
about
me, what was that?
type, you know,
Oh, type. Okay.
type real fast. I would say probably about 40 words a minute. So I think that's pretty fast when you're in a hurry. You know, you can hook it on through that. And
Do you know anything about computers?
sure, well, I know how to turn them on. I could do real good with going through different computers.
How about Microsoft Office?
Office.
Yeah, I don't mean the building or the room. I'm talking about the computer.
Oh,
thought you,
Okay. Well, is there one that's called Outlook or something? Because I can do emails, I can send emails and get emails, and, you know, I even put down on my little calendar things I have to do on that little thing.
that's
And
real good.
some of them, let's see, I think there's one that may be called, let's see, is it Word or something?
Yes.
Okay, I think I've used that one a little bit.
Okay, all right. Well, could you tell me a little bit about why you think we should hire you at our college? I mean, you've had some experience at a community college, but, you know, we, at the 4-year, our division chair's very busy. So why would,
What do you mean by very busy?
that means that they do a lot of work.
So does that mean that they would give me stuff to do instead of them doing it?
Correct.
Well, I'd rather be busy than not, that's for sure. I don't like to just sit around and twiddle my thumbs. So that might work a little bit better.
Okay. So something else that, the reason that you don't think we should hire you?
The reason that you shouldn't?
Should.
Oh, should. Should. Let's see. Well, I can think of a lot of things, I just don't know exactly what to tell you. I'm really good with customer service, because I like to talk. I can do real good with that, so, answering the phone, just don't ask me to take any minutes, because I'm not very good at taking those minutes. That's not one of my better assets. But just about anything else in the office that you would want me to do, I can do it.
Okay.
I'm a hands-on person too.
I see. I see. Well, one last question, Ms. Sublett. Could you tell me your weaknesses? You've
I
told me
don't
some of
have
your-
any weaknesses.
Okay, wonderful. All right.
Maybe unless I talk too much. That might.
Okay, well, maybe we'll add that. All right, do you have any questions for us?
Sure. How much is this gonna pay?
How much is this going to pay? Did you notice the pay scale and when you made application?
No, I can't say that I did.
Okay, well, maybe you would want to go back and check that.
And vacation time, how much vacation do you get?
Of course, it is structured, so as you are able to work here, then you build your vacation time into your own schedule, and then you'd be able to take that time off.
Do you get any as soon as you hire?
I'm sorry to say, no, you do not.
So what would I do with my kids if they were to get sick?
We do have some sick days, so you can use those, but vacations are limited.
And how quick can you move up the ladder?
Based on your performance, your supervisor would then take that into consideration.
And since this is a college, can I take classes free?
That is part of the package, so yes, you would be able to take in some classes based on your supervisor.
What about my kids?
That also is true, that's part of the package as well. Is
So
there
how
anything
soon
else?
will I find out whether I got this here position?
Well, someone will be in contact with you next week.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Sublett, thank you.
Thank you,
and-
Metro. I appreciate it. Okay, now.
Boy, she did. rough on y'all, didn't she?
How did this applicant do? Not well. Not well at all. What are some of the things that she did wrong? She wasn't punctual. How late was she? Probably 10 to 15 minutes late.
Her
Okay.
posture was good.
Posture was not good.
She needed to be good at her job before she came in.
Dumb.
The gum and the phone needed to be not with them at the time of the interview, correct? What else?
Her questions,
Her questions?
that she answered with.
she didn't answer the questions very well at all, and I don't see a trash can in here.
It's back.
There's back here. I'm gonna trade you mine, yours I can't.
I can't.
I need a drink and I'm gonna leave you all.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Adams. You had said that her responses to the question, why were they not good? Was she very prepared? Not prepared at all. What else? Can you think of any other things?
The question she asked her.
Questions that she asked her, some of those were okay, but some were not, were questions she should not be asking at that time. Exactly. Okay, so those are some of the things that she did incorrectly. What were some of the things that she did okay? Was there anything?
Not much.
Most was all wrong. What about the appearance? Was she dressed okay?
Yeah.
For an interview?
Yeah.
Okay, so the dress was okay. But a lot of the other things that she did was totally improper for an interview. How many of you have been on interviews before? Okay. So you kind of know what you need to be doing and the way that you need to be acting, but you would be surprised at the people that we have had here on this campus when we interview that have had cell phones with them and even asked to be excused to go answer that cell phone. Do you think they got the job? No, you definitely need to leave your cell phones at home. What is one of the first things that you should do prior to going to an interview?
Be prepared.
How can you be prepared?
Know what questions to ask. Your response to the question that you're asking.
But even before you get to the questions, what is something that you can do to get prepared for that interview? If you've never worked for this organization or educational institution before, what can you do?
A little research on
Google. Go out there and Google that, the company, the organization, the educational institution, whatever. You want to go out and Google, research that organization so that you are going to know exactly things about that organization that you can ask them, that you can incorporate in your answers because you've done your research, so that when they're asking those questions, you can incorporate that into your answer. And they're going to know that you have done that research. What should your appearance be like?
very professional.
Very professional. If you look better, you feel better. I always like to tell people that when they go for that interview, it's like that first date. What kind of impression did you want to make on that first date? A good impression. So that's what you're wanting to do on an interview. Now, each interview is going to be a little bit different. You're going to have some, if you're going to a factory, that you're going to want to just wear khaki pants and a shirt. If you're going for an administrative position or a business professional, then you're going to want to dress in a suit. So different types of interviews you're going to do a little bit different, but you will be aware of what that organization and the position that you are applying for, so you will know how. You want to prepare questions so that you do have good questions to ask them. Don't ever leave an interview that you have not asked questions. How do you know what questions to ask? Once again, Google questions to ask at an interview. You would be surprised the number of questions that are out there for you. Where do you see this position going in 5 years? What is your 5-year plan, or anything that's going to fall along with what it is that you're applying for in that position? And there are some really, really good questions out there that will help you. When you are going for an interview, how early should you get there? Pardon?
15 minutes, right?
little bit too much, but still, that's better than being late. So about 5 to 10 minutes early. If you get there 5 to 10 minutes early, then you are good. It's showing that you're not too anxious, but yet you were there ready to be prepared. If they want to give you a list of questions for you to go over and review, you can do that. So 5 to 10 minutes is very good. How can you be prepared to know that you're going to get there 5 to 10 minutes early? If this is a company or an organization that you're not familiar with the location,
Have it ahead of time.
go there ahead of time. Walk around the area. I mean, if it's one that you can do that, walk around the area, get familiar with the buildings even, where you can see and know, and feel a little bit about what's going on. Along with that research, that's going to help you when you get ready to have that interview and they ask you questions. You want to be prepared to be an active listener. I'm forgetting to do this on. How can you be an active listener? If they have asked you a question during an interview and you are not sure exactly how to respond to that question, can you ask them to rephrase it? Sure, that doesn't hurt a thing. Definitely ask them to rephrase it. And if you're not keyed into the question that they're asking you and somehow you didn't catch it all, just ask them to repeat it. So, but you have to listen because sometimes they may respond to something that you have said. So you need to be an active listener back to them. Is it okay to be nervous in an interview?
It's inevitable, isn't it?
I don't think I have ever been on an interview that I wasn't a nervous wreck. And I don't care how familiar you are, most of the time you're going to be nervous. It's just that situation. Here on campus, it's quite different than it is out in the private sector because a lot of times it's a one-to-one interview. Here on this campus, when you have an interview, you have anywhere from 3 to 6, 7 people on an interview panel. And during that whole panel, each one goes around and will ask you questions, and they're constantly taking notes because that's a state regulation. We have to document everything that is said during those interviews. So that makes it even more nerve-wracking. And then when you have worked with the people that are on that interview panel, that makes it even more nerve-wracking, I think. So, you know, it's different situations. When it's a one-on-one, you're probably not quite as nervous. But when you have the panel interviews, that can definitely make you a little bit more nervous. And also some of these, you not only have an interview, but you may have written tests that you have to do as well. And that can also, with some people, make them a little bit nervous. Did she know what she had to offer that organization? She sure didn't express it at all, did she? So you need to know what you have to offer to that organization, and you need to let them know that you know what you have. How do you do that?
I guess that would be where more research comes to play.
Pardon me?
I guess that would be where more research comes to play.
Yeah, more research comes to play. One of the best ways that I can tell you is to take the job description that has been posted that you have applied for. You take that job description and you look at it. When you're filling out your application, you want to be going by that job description. So whatever duties they're saying, KSAs, your knowledge, skills, and abilities, or whatever education it's asking, you want to make sure you have listed everything on your application and resume that is there. When you're filling out your application for this prior to getting the interview, do you say on the body, see resume? Do you do that on an application? You should never, ever say see resume. When you're filling out an application, you want to make sure it is as much detailed in that application as you can get. Never, ever say see resume. Sometimes I know we will just automatically not even forward that application because we say a complete application. That's not complete when you don't fill it out. So you want to be sure you do that, but when you do, as I said, take that job description. When you're getting ready for the interview, once again, take that job description. Go piece by piece and ask yourself questions in regards to what they are asking for and looking for. So the best way to do that is to practice, practice, practice. How do you practice?
I don't know, here.
In front of a mirror is good. But if you have someone within your home, a spouse, a child, a mom or dad, whomever, grandparents, whomever you can trust, get them to go with those questions. Give them the job description that you're going to be doing and ask them to ask you questions. That's going to get your mind to thinking. It may not be the questions that they ask you on the interview, but it may be a similar question. And it's had you thinking in regards to what the answer should be. So if you do that, it's going to really help you quite a bit when you get ready to go to that interview. You won't be quite as nervous as you would be if you went without having prepared yourself and wanting to make sure. I never did turn it on.
I was gonna
so-
say, do you not want to turn it on so they can see it? I didn't want to
I didn't
interrupt.
realize it
but
wasn't on.
Turn the button on the wall,
Turn it right away.
on the wall.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, does it say PC or on?
It says PC, just push it.
Push PC, That should turn the projector on for you.
I pushed this, so I don't remember.
Since the blue light on.
Do I need to push it again, Daniel?
Yeah, it does, I don't think it counts out when. Did you guys click on it?
Yeah, I heard it
Okay.
click.
Looking for the blue lights. It looks like the lens is getting ready to come on.
Yeah.
You have to have it just right, hold your mouth just right, stand on one leg, all that stuff.
There it comes, I guess, yeah.
Okay, I don't know. What is this?
That's the lights.
Is that the lights?
These lights up.
Oh,
The
so
switch,
I was
would
gonna,
that turn them all off?
is that better to see?
There's
The
the
screen?
circle one turned on that light. There.
Does that help?
Does that help you all see it better? Or you want the lights on?
That's fine.
Is that good? Okay.
All right. Now, when you are with either a group of a panel or either if you are a one-on-one, what should you do while you are speaking with those people? You want to make eye contact, exactly. Usually, what I will say is if it's a panel especially, there may be one person within that panel that makes you feel more comfortable, more at ease. So kind of look at them, look at the whole panel, but go to them so that gives you a little bit more calmness as you're doing your interview, because there's always going to be one person there. You want to listen to the questions that they have given to you, and you want to stay focused on that question. What do I mean when I say stay focused on that question? Very good, very good. How many of you have heard salespeople say that they talk themselves right out of a sale? You can actually do that on an interview. You can, instead of answering the question precise, you keep going on and on and on. Then the committee starts losing interest in what you're saying, and that's not good. So you want to be focused on what the question was, and you want to answer it to the very best of your ability, but not to linger and continue on that same topic for a lengthy period of time. You want to get it answered and answered to the best of your ability as quick as you can. Do you think it's important to be positive in an interview?
Sure.
Do you think it's important to smile? Why is that?
Should be sure and honest if you're happy and not trying to be there.
How many people want to hire someone that they feel is going to bring someone down? That wouldn't be good. You don't want a negative person within your organization, so you want them to be positive. So when you go in, you want to be positive and you want to be smiling and greeting. When you go into an interview, do you think you should say something to the panel or not? Is there a specific time that's better to say something to the panel or not? You can do it when you first get in there, or you can do it when you leave. Either way is perfectly fine, but I would address them and let them know that, and we'll get to that a little bit more in a minute. When she was answering the questions, do you think she spoke clearly? Kind of hard to speak very clear when you're chewing gum.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you speak clearly. You want to enunciate your words and make sure that they understand what you are saying. So you want to stay focused, detailed on what you're doing. When they ask you a question, make sure you cover everything within that job description that you've looked at. Make sure you are responding to everything that you possibly can that is important to you and what you have accomplished and what you have done within your job career. What about being confident? Do you think that's a good thing? Always display your confidence. And that's hard on an interview sometimes because you are nervous. But what do you think is a good way to kind of help you feel a little bit more confident?
Knowing that you have the ability to do the task.
That's a very good way to feel confident. Doing your, what was the first thing that you needed to do? Research, doing your research about the organization where you can ask questions regarding that organization. Making sure that you're on time, because if you're not on time, you sort of lose your confidence, right? You sort of get all combobulated, you are in a hurry and in a rush and you get frustrated with your own self. So if you're there early, you've got plenty of time to calm yourself down and be prepared to answer those questions in the way that you would want to do that with the confidence. Another way is, you see this little portfolio that he has right here? That is a good way to put, it's not a notebook like this, but it's a smaller little portfolio that you can put information in there regarding the jobs that you have done that relate to the job that you are applying for. So that way, if you have it typed up in big enough letters, you can just kind of glance at that and help you to understand and not forget how to answer those questions when they're asked to you. Because sometimes when you are on an interview, you are nervous and you just forget. So if it's there in front of you, it's going to help you when there's not anything wrong with doing that and bringing that with you. At the end of a interview, do you think you should thank the interview panel? Definitely. Go around, shake their hand, thank each one of them for taking the time to interview you and give you that opportunity to do that. Do you think you should send a thank you note as well? Doesn't hurt, for sure. It's not something that you actually have to do, but it's something that will go a long ways. So if you are applying for a job and you get the interview, tell me what the first thing is that you should do. Research. Research that organization. What's another thing you should do right after that? after you've researched the organization. You are going to need to prepare some questions. That's a very good thing. That may not be the next thing, but that is. What type of questions would you ask? Say that you were applying for the Dean of Humanities and Social Science Administrative position. What questions would you like to ask at the end of that interview? If you've done some research and you know it's here at CVCC and you want to ask questions, what type of questions would you see? This is an admin and office specialist 2 position, we'll say. If you get hired as an admin and office specialist 2, would you want to stay in that position? So one of the good questions, where do you see this position going in 5 years from now? Or is there a chance that there could be promotions within this position? Do you ever ask them, as she did, what will be your starting salary during an interview? No, that's a bad thing. Do you really need to talk about your children when you're in an interview? What are things that you should never talk about in an interview? You don't need to talk about anything that could affect the job in any way, or especially when you're doing a resume. Going backwards a little bit, but when you're doing a resume, should you put that you were married and you have 5 children in your resume? Should you put that you were male or female? Should you put what religion that you are? There are a lot of those things. What about your picture? If you're doing a resume, do you put your picture in the resume?
No,
No. Why is that?
you're not acting. No,
What?
I said, no, you're not acting.
Yeah. Well, we are an equal employment opportunity. We do not, affirmative action, we do not discriminate. If you put your picture, what does that tell us? A lot about you, doesn't it? Tells us whether you're male or female. It tells us what ethnicity you are, pretty much. So there are things like that that you definitely would not do. And once again, here at the college, we have received a lot of resumes that have people's pictures. So then what do you have to do? Cut their picture out. What does that do? Messes up the resume. Now that we have them online and we have them out there for people to see, a lot of times we can't take that off. So, you know, don't ever do that. Don't send any resumes that have your pictures. Let's see. What kind of questions do you have for me in regards to interviewing?
I understand the whole thing of the concept of not putting personal life into an interview, but then there was that question of, tell us about yourself.
Right. Right.
So how would you,
Without too much information.
yes,
Related to the job in regards to telling about yourself, you know. Well, actually, I have 25 years of service that I have done as an administrative and office specialist. And just carry on the conversation in that manner where they're finding out more about your strengths in the job-related field. And that's really what they're looking for. They're not necessarily looking for whether you're married or whether you have children or whatever. They're looking for your job strengths. So any opportunity that you get within that interview, that is what you want to do. I always say I'm not one that likes to pat myself on the back. I'm probably one of the world's worst. But when it comes to an interview, that is the time that you have to do it. You have to make yourself shine when you are in on that interview if you want the job. And that's the confidence that they are looking for. they also look for a good fit. So that's why it's important to speak clearly, it's important to smile, it's important to be confident and to be gracious. All of those things fall right into the determination. Sometimes the interview lets the panel know exactly what kind of a person that you would be within that office. So the thank you notes later, that just shows that you have been very thankful and grateful for taking the opportunity to give you that interview. Any other questions?
And one of the questions in that mock interview there, the question of what is your weaknesses, how does one approach that?
That is probably one of my least favorite questions on an interview panel. I wish they would never ask that question, but a lot of times they do. And you heard what she said about the talking. And sometimes you can take that weakness that you have, but turn it around to make it a positive. So that's what you have to do in that particular case. If they're asking you what is your weakness, in her particular case, it was she loves customer service, so she likes to talk. So for customer service, talking's a good thing. So that's what you have to think about that question, and think about that before you go for the interview, because they very well may ask you that. What is your strength? And you would have to tell them what your biggest strength is. And they also may give you a scenario of what different things that could happen. And you need to think about how you would answer that type of scenario too. If you are a tutor, say you applied for a tutor position here at the college, and you actually saw a student cheating, what would you do? That could be a scenario question that could be asked for someone that's tutoring or someone that's proctoring a test or something along that line. So there are different types of scenarios. I know one that they ask a lot of times, especially if you're at a front desk. What do you do if you have someone that comes up to the front desk, the phone's ringing, and your boss comes out and needs something yesterday? How do you handle that? How would you answer that question?
You have to figure and say, thank you for all the blah, 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 and oh, please, I'll be ready. Then do other things back to them.
The person on the phone can't see the people that are standing there waiting. So the first thing would be to tell the person on the phone, if you could please get their name and number, that you have immediate people in the office, could you get back with them as quickly as you can? Get that information if you can quickly, and then the people there at the front desk can see what you are doing, and they understand why it's taking you a little bit longer to get to them. And hopefully your boss will see how busy you are and will say, I will come right back. But if not, then go ahead and address the person at that front desk and then get to your supervisor as soon as you have finished that. So there are different ways that each person can handle it, but you have to look at your priorities. Always remember, the person on the phone cannot see the situation that you are in, whereas the people that are right in front of you can. So, and all of you will not be in an office setting. What do you want to do? What type of job are you going to be looking for when you finish?
Financial advisement.
Financial advisement, that's a good. And what about you?
Quality.
Quality.
Machine tool quality.
And you, have you decided?
I'm not officially decided, but something in the health science field.
Science field. Very good. I know you are IT. Pretty much, right?
Potential IT.
potential IT as well, okay? So you know questions for each one of these that you might would want to do, and how to find your strengths and your weaknesses on each one of those. At any point of time, if there is anything that I can do to help any of you along your careers and your pathways, I am more than willing and more than happy to help you if I can. So if you have questions, I'm in the HR office in the Appomattox building. You can call me, you can come by to see me, and you know, if like I say, if when you get ready to have that interview, don't forget to take your job description and go over it and ask yourself questions and get someone to ask you questions, because that's going to help you as much as anything, and be familiar. A lot of times when you go into an interview, some people will have forgotten what they have even applied for. Is that a good thing? That's why it's important to keep that job description. Go over it the night before, go over it a week before, whenever you know what it is, so that you familiarize yourself more and more with that. Any other questions? My number is 832-7612. And again, my name is Connie. So I would be more than happy to help you in any way that I can. I wish you the best of luck in all of your job endeavors and your future careers.
Thank you.
Thank you.